Good morning, and welcome to Monroe Monday on Kicks Country. Monroe Monday is an hour-long live local broadcast every Monday morning at 9 with local guests letting us know what's going on in our community. So grab that second cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy Monroe Monday.
And good morning, everyone. Thank you for listening to Monroe Monday on this Monday, May the 2nd. Hope everyone's having a great day so far and had a great weekend. And this is Monroe Monday, and we usually have events on here and talk different ones, but we're going to do a little different today. Got some help out here at the radio station. Been here for probably maybe a month
7, 8
now.
years.
Yeah, 7, 8 years. I just kept them in the back door there. But
We empty trash,
yeah, all
Mop
that
the
hard
floor.
stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to introduce them to the people. Some people don't know them. They've been hearing their voices on the radio, and so we're going to introduce them. First, we have, both of them are here. Michael Goad and Susan Scovel.
Good morning. Got the first cup of coffee. Still drinking it.
You're supposed to be on your second.
I've had that done by, this is the second cup of coffee. Remember what John said, get your second cup of coffee.
That's
for
right.
Monroe Monday, so you're kind of behind.
Well, I guess I am. I usually am.
But we're just going to talk to them for probably about
2
30
hours.
minutes. No, about 30 minutes. And Terry's going to come on, and we're going to talk about events, past,
Yay,
present,
Terry.
and future.
All right. Well,
So
she
anyway.
knows them.
She does. She's a busy girl.
Very busy. And so anyway, first off, we'll just do like we do everybody else, kind of give us a
Oh,
background.
no, don't do that,
Give
please.
us a family background, where you was born, raised, give us a little life history, and then same way with Susan, and then how y'all met, and we'll just off the cuff type stuff
Explore.
today. Yeah, just off the cuff. All right.
You were
We'll
born
start.
where?
I was
You
born.
go first.
Me go first. Okay. I go.
Ladies first.
I was born in Michigan, in 1948.
And what city?
Oh, he's going to interview you.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Well, there's a Hell, Michigan that you lived in.
We moved to that area to Pinckney, Michigan, when I was about 3, I believe, and that was between Ann Arbor and Howell, I think. And my mom and dad met in Hell, Michigan. My mama lived on the lake with her parents, of course, and my daddy's mom had a little cottage, and he walked through her yard when she was 12 years old,
She shot him.
and she was on a blanket with her cousins, her 2 cousins.
Oh.
And my dad walked through. Yeah, they were sunbathing.
And
I can't take
you
him.
better go to the next story.
I can't take him anywhere. Anyway, my dad saw those 3, but he looked at my mom, who was blonde, and he said, "I'm going to marry that girl someday." And they did. They got married. So they met when they were 12 and 14.
That brings a story. We have a red dress gala here. Had it for several years, and the story goes that Dr. James Carter, not a lot of them know him by. Anyway, he was at a function or anything or something, and his wife, Judy, which was just a random girl at that time, she had on this red dress. And when he came to this event, he saw this lady. He said, apparently he must have turned to somebody that was with him or whatever and said, "I'm going to marry that lady."
Really? Oh.
And that's a story they always tell during the red dress gala. But that's in honor of her and him that we have every year.
Oh.
And it's for volunteers in the Monroe County area. If you have an entity, say like the JCs or Chamber of Commerce or just anybody, you honor somebody in your area, But it's called Red Dress Gala, and that comes up every year.
That's a sweet story.
It's a really neat story
Yeah.
that their kids tell every year, I think, at the Red Dress Gala. But it was Judy in the red dress.
Aw. Well,
So
my daddy was a prankster. He had a sense of humor, and he had to get a bumper sticker after they got married that said, "I met my wife in hell and I've been there ever since." That's bad. but they were married 63 years when he passed, and she passed about 6 years after he did. But yeah, they had a really good long marriage with 4 children, and I was the eldest.
And sorry to say, you just had a sister pass away.
I did Thursday. Yep, she was the sister that was closest in age to me, 3 years younger, and then my little sister passed in 2012. So now it's just myself. I'm the eldest, of my little brother. He's about 13 years younger. Yeah, and he lives in the Seattle area.
So Seattle, Washington, where you're from, is all the way out west, up in that corner.
Yeah, after my dad got headhunted by Boeing, and they went back headhunting in Michigan to all the machinists. He was a journeyman, and they moved us out to Seattle to work at Boeing, and I lived out there for 54 years.
Boeing airplanes.
Yes.
So that's how you got a job in Boeing, wasn't it?
Roundabout. Yeah.
Roundabout way.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
So yes.
Let's talk to Mike just a minute. I know he's just dying to talk.
I am.
He can't keep his mouth shut, can he?
No, he's a tease.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just going to say I'm from South Africa. I lived in the Wazuli land.
I can believe all that too.
Is that crazy, isn't it?
Nashville, Tennessee. And then moved to Murfreesboro. But background, that's basically it. I mean, there's a lot, a lot of humping around and jumping around. First radio job was in Alabama, though. So went down there, tried to get in. The goal was to get into the Nashville market within 3 years, and I was very fortunate to get in there within 2 into the Nashville market.
And you done a lot of voiceover, like commercials and stuff, didn't you, during that time, or what did you do?
Oh,
in
yeah. Yeah. Hello.
What did you do in Alabama?
Well, I had a banjo on my knee part of the time when I came to Nashville. Radio, disc jockey,
okay.
Where we played the records live on air. Everything was live. Didn't have computers to do the timeouts and timing. You just look at the clock and you hit it. But it was fun, a lot of fun. But then graduated from that into TV over the years. Did a lot of commercials.
You really got a face for radio, though.
I know I do. That's what they tell me. Which if you folks online here, if you don't understand what that means, is that if you have a face for radio, or if you're in radio, you might have a face for radio, which is
nobody has to look at you.
What's that?
Nobody has to look at you.
That's right. Nobody has to look.
It's funny. Through the years, I didn't really think a lot about it till after I did get in radio. But you listen to the voice of somebody, and you visualize what they look like. But then when you actually see them in real life, you go,
"What?
Well, that's not who I thought it would be, or how they would look, or how they would act."
His voice matches his face.
Bad.
No.
Gloomy.
No.
Alrighty, let's take a little quick break and gather our thoughts, and we'll be right back with more Monroe Monday and with Michael and Susan. And welcome back to Monroe Monday on this Monday, May the 2nd. We're interviewing Michael Goad and Susan Scovel, which is some new voices you hear on Kicks Country. And what are some other jobs that you had, Mike, going through your years? I know you had a...
No, I did. I was an actor for years.
You still are an actor.
I do some of it every once in a while. I'm not as active doing that anymore. But it was mainly commercials. That's where I got paid. And voiceovers and things like that. But I do stage as well. First time I ever got paid for acting was in an opera. I never thought I'd do an opera.
Really?
Yeah.
I just can't see you doing opera.
Oh, well, I couldn't either. But I had a friend of mine, another actor friend, who said, "Hey, come on, go down here, get paid $20 for walking across the stage." Okay.
That's all you had to do.
That's how I had, but I had to get dressed up, and I was a judge in a musical called Tosca. And so that was the first time I ever made money. It was $20 every time I walked across the stage, but that turned into being a professional thing. You know?
So they couldn't keep you off the stage, then, right?
No.
Oh, it's my turn.
What was so funny? I was doing another play. Probably 4 blocks from there. That was at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, but I was doing another play on West End called "P.S. Your Cat is Dead." And so I didn't have to come on. If you've never heard of that or seen it, it's a trip. But I'd go show up there to let them know that I was there. Then I'd run down to the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, change clothes, let them do makeup and all that stuff, and then do my walk across and get out of all that stuff. I'd keep the makeup and stuff on, changed clothes, and ran up to the other place, and then went on the second half. So the timing was pretty good. I didn't trip or mess up at all. But that was the first time of ever getting paid for acting.
Okay.
But it's been a long time, a lot of stuff along those lines.
A lot of gray hair in there, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't gray at the time.
Younger then, yeah.
Oh, a lot younger.
Okay, Susan, you worked for Boeing. What did you do for Boeing Airlines?
I was in computing with engineering computing. I was a sysadmin. Took care of all the engineers and draft people. They would, as the PCs came on board, they would get their own at home, and they'd bring in software, and they'd be calling me. I'd hit the ferry. I commuted on a ferry because I lived on an island, and I'd put my it was the pagers back then, and I put my pager on. That thing would start buzzing the second I put it in. And what happened was, they'd bring their software in from home, and they were loading up their computers with the screensaver. A little guy on a South Pacific island. He climbs, does fishing, and picks coconuts and all that. So they couldn't do their job, and the last group I supported, they were supporting the line where the planes were moving. And when that line went down, those planes stopped, and I'd get calls. Those planes aren't moving. Okay, I'd go out there, and these guys are loading up their computers with software. So I'm not a cop, right? That's not my personality. So it took me 7 months to get them. I'd take it off, they'd put it back on. And it went that way. 7 months, finally, upper management put out a memo. If any more software from home is found on your computer, you're immediately fired. So that stopped it. But 7 months.
So you were part of putting the airplanes together?
No,
I mean, as far as
well, I supported the
computer.
I supported the computers that the guys were actually doing their design, their computer CAD work, computer-aided design. But they were taking all the memory with these cute little screensavers. They didn't know the difference. It was fun. It was just fun, yeah. So, but that's what I did.
So when did you start into computers? What year?
1978.
How has that progressed from then to now?
Oh boy, the size of those computers. I did key punch, and I'd draw decision trees and load it in, and then do the key punch, and then the computers were humongous. I used to go. Sometimes I'd work overtime and feed their silos, and we needed roller skates to do that. We didn't use them, but that's all robotic now.
And it would take, like you said, when you put a program or something in, it would take forever probably for it to load up.
Oh yeah. And we had the reel-to-reel tapes, and we'd have the actual discs. We'd have to pick them up, and I was so short it was hard on my back. You have to pull them out and move them out, and yeah, it was a lot different. Now everything's compact. Yeah.
So when did you and Mike meet?
Well, my first husband and I went to, he was in the Navy, and we went to San Diego.
You don't have to say everything.
You just aggravate me.
You are.
Go ahead.
Anyway, my girlfriend and I lived in Navy housing, and we lived in the family part. He lived in the back part, and we met at a party, I guess.
A family friend.
I lived with a family friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I've known her forever. And we each had a baby, each about a year old, and we let him babysit for us. because he was so good. I mean, the first thing he did was picked up my little boy and was throwing him up in the air, and
And you was
About 10 feet.
Yeah.
He could zoom pretty far.
and yeah, just playing with him, and and I just watched how he interacted with the little baby, and I thought that was sweet. And so he babysat Virginia and I down there.
Well, you know what year that was?
67, 68. Jenny and I actually moved into a house down in Imperial Beach, and when we wanted to go out, he'd babysit.
Babysit for you.
Because Jenny and I go out.
So that was the last time I saw her, or we've seen each other.
Yep.
Until, 6 years ago.
October 2014, when we were coming through to see Bob and Linda, and he got a spot for us at Percy Priest Lake. We had an RV, and he took us all over. He took us to, what's that, Loveless Cafe?
Mm-hmm.
Took us to Jack Daniel's Distillery, which I thought was really fun, and that's where I learned to like whiskey. Never had it before, and
So,
oh,
was anyway, your husband passed away.
He did.
And then you met Mike, what, 5-6 years ago? Is that right?
well, no.
After a long period of time.
Oh yeah, I mean from 68 until 2014 is when the computer said you might know Mike Goad. Well, I didn't know his name was Kenneth. In 2008, I did a Google search when we were coming through to visit Bob and Linda, because I told my husband, hey, I know a guy. We went under a road, new road construction called Goad Road. And I said, oh, I know a guy named Goad. And, searched for him when we came through the next time. I said, he lives in Nashville, or Murfreesboro. He went from Nashville, I think. Anyway, it was Kenneth. It was him. I just didn't know his name was Kenneth Michael. So, but Google remembers those things. So in 2014, when I got a business, he had a business. There's this thing called LinkedIn. And one of my girlfriends had said, want to join LinkedIn, you have a business. I didn't know what it was. It's actually, I don't know what it is, but it spreads and asks everybody. And that's how I found him. I zipped him off an email. And
That's probably the best email I've ever gotten in my entire life. It is. Just because I could never get in touch with her.
Yeah, you remembered her and him, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Well, it is, and so they moved. They came to Salina and loved it so much they decided just to move here.
it was the cost of living. My husband had Parkinson's, and so the cost of medical care was so much less. And we'd come through so many times, and but we couldn't move until my parents, they were getting up on age and they were sick, and so we couldn't move. My mom had died in April of 2015. We were here in July, but thought it was beautiful, and moved up in Salina because it looked much like the island we lived on with the water on either side. Yeah, so
Live up on the Cedar Hill.
Cedar
there, right?
Hill. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So close to the lake.
Yeah, right between two marinas.
Yeah.
And this is right on tippy top of the hill.
Yeah.
And it was, but it's been a good move, I think, for you guys.
Yeah, it was good for the cost of medical care for my husband, and unfortunately, the Parkinson's was he fell and broke his femur, and 2 weeks later he passed. But Mike and my son, and it took about 3 people to get him to the doctor the last couple of years. Have to get him out of the car in the wheelchair, and I'm thankful for his help. And he actually didn't move up for a year after more than
you guys
a year
were
after
here.
we, because he stayed with it. He lived with his mom for 7 years down in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
So
Not in the basement type of thing. I was taking care of her. She had
Use the caregiver.
dementia.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so here we are as sidekicks, and
And then we met you.
Then you met me. And we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Yep.
Right after these messages on Kicks Country.
Okay.
And this is Monroe Monday, so we'll be right back.
It's just Monday.
Welcome back to Monroe Monday. We're going to continue talking to Mike and Susan. And like when we left, he said, and we met you. Of course, a lot of you know Thomas Watson. And he put a bug in here. He said there's some individuals in Salina that would like to meet you. Could you come up and meet you sometime? I went, okay. So we'll just kind of throw that out there and let Mike and Susan talk about that from day one?
Well, it even started prior to that, and it has to do with now on this radio.
Oh, now spit it out, Mike.
Well, we have a show. It's called Backwoods Spirit. Well, it's the spirit that really came upon us, or actually me first, I guess, a couple of years ago. And because I have been in radio, I've always loved your station, loved you guys, you and John. But I was just led to, we wanted to do, Susan and had organized a lot of people to do the
Murder mystery.
Murder mystery
in Salina.
Yeah. And so we wanted another project to do. So I kept thinking about you and kept listening to you. And you sounded like, golly, man, that you just sounded so depressed. And you did
At times.
At times, not all the time,
Tired.
but tired. You know, you were the only one here working the whole time. I mean, the whole time after John passed, and that just blew my mind. And so we started talking about it, and said, and I had called Thomas and asked him, you know, does the owner live here in Monroe County? And he said, no, she's out of town. You need to talk to Randy. Here's the telephone number. And so he called you in the meantime and
Give me a heads up.
gave you some heads up. And I had called you, I guess, right after that, letting you know that that I would like to make an appointment to come see you.
Uh-huh.
And I started to give you my telephone number after I was asking, and I forgot my telephone number. I said, well, wait a minute. I'll call you back. This is probably the weirdest phone call you'll ever get.
Yeah.
So called you back and yeah, went down the checklist. Yes. And you were very nice to us and have been ever since, and informative, a good teacher. We have learned a lot, and we look forward to learning a lot more from you. It's been a good little marriage.
Oh.
Oh. I'm touched.
Oh.
But yeah,
Right
you know,
over here.
But like you said, of course I was by myself, and John had been sick for about 2 years, and of course I took it on myself to take over, and of course he was next door, but he was bedridden a lot, and of course his family was here, and they were real supportive and everything. Well, then I kind of got sick myself, so I was losing my voice, and I was tired, and my immune system was down, and a lot of people, was calling me and say, "Hey, are you okay?"
See, that's my point.
They heard it too.
Yes.
And,
I felt so sorry for you because COVID was going on, and you not have anybody in or out. It was very difficult. We thought you were going to pass away several times with COVID or whatever, man.
Right. So, we had our little meeting, and we discussed some things, and like you said, you just, you felt like you needed to come help me, and you wanted to, I guess, in your retirement, you want to have something to do, and...
We wanted to help you.
Right.
That's our focus.
And
That's what we were told from above, is help that man, help that man, help that man. And
we like to volunteer.
Yeah. We want
We've been doing that.
to come and meet you. And,
Well, speaking of volunteering, what all do y'all do in Salina right now? I mean, or have you done, or are you doing?
well, we did the murder mystery.
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, we're with the Chamber of Commerce there, and on the retirement committee, and did a lot of work there, getting a lot of things
It
done.
took 6 months. I co-wrote it with Andrea Kruska from Tennessee Tech. I wrote it, and then I got stuck for clues, so she jumped in and she did a lot of work.
But there were several people that that had their hands on it and worked. Golly, squeak down there. There's a lot of people that really
We
really
had a
helped
committee
a lot.
that helped.
Yeah, committee. But in doing so, now we're getting ready to. Did we do anything between then and now?
No, because
COVID.
COVID stopped us. We were
That's
gonna
right.
have the second murder mystery. We already had the fairgrounds reserved for a 2-day event, and then it shut down. So we were not able to do that second one. So I hope to do another one.
And of course, since you've been here, I need to go back and thank, because some people may think that you are Bill and Barb, but you're Mike and
Oh
Susan.
no, right.
So let's talk about Bill and Barb a little bit, so people will know
Okay.
where that come in.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That was an idea of yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's aired.
There again, from the spirit.
And
Boom.
how we met them.
And how.
That happened.
Yes. Then you can go into the first part of that on how we met them, and then
Go
I'll
ahead.
take it over from there.
They saw a phone number on my son. I have a little RV barn up in Salina. They needed a spot for their RV, and I met them the first day she got out. She sang her little song for me that she wrote after her accident, and they were just so filled with the spirit. And I told him about it, and that was a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, and I've watched them from a distance and sort of summoned up an informative opinion on the guys. And at any rate, there again, from the spirit, what, golly, these people would be really good. They're honest. They're from the backwoods. They live in the backwoods. They are backwoods Bill and backwoods Barb. And that's what you get. But the whole thing is about the backwoods spirit. And it's the Holy Ghost. It's the Spirit, the Holy Spirit that has affected them and their minds and their souls. And they both have been married before. Their spouses, both of them, have died.
Uh-huh.
So they just have only been married. They've known each other since they were knee-high to a colt or something. But they just got married about
2 years.
2 years ago.
It'll
Okay,
be
2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And they're really good and honest people. And what they tell you on the radio, which is 7:30 on Saturday mornings, you get that 7:30 Saturday mornings. You got to listen to it. It's called Backwoods Spirit, with Backwoods Bill and Backwoods Barb, and they are the real deal.
What's the station?
101.5
And 102.7.
and 102.7.
Yes. And it's a 15-minute program, and what they do is they usually come in and they do some what I call testimonies or real life events that have and they've both been through a lot.
Yes,
through
they
their
have.
life. Now Bill, traveled around the United States. He was kind of and he would go and work places and help people.
Yeah, that was his focus.
That was his focus was to he just didn't have one place to be.
Right.
It was his ministry.
Right.
Yeah. And he would go and stay somewhere for a period of time and work in that area. He wasn't a vagabond or anything like that. He actually worked.
Yeah.
He tried to find work and
It was like the mission field, but it was his mission to move around and help.
and then
That guy is 78 years old now, and he
doesn't-
gets around. He runs.
Yeah.
And works, and I mean
Builds.
heavy stuff. Oh, he's a great builder. The guy has built all kinds of things out of just slabs of wood, just that you can't.
Scrap wood.
Oh, scrap wood.
He's a good
very
architect.
intelligent. Yes.
He is.
Now